Hey everybody, Tony here again with another segment of random interviews. And fuck, this one has been literally months in the making, and that's okay. I am not upset whatsoever because
I'm a terrible procrastinator. What can I say?
it's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be worth it. So, as you could hear, we have the one, the only Superbutterbuns.
Her, yeah, that's that's me. I always feel weird about every time I hear my name spoken out loud, I'm like, yeah, I chose that on purpose. That's or as the internet is now calling me, a super button buns, because of this whole finesse.
I saw. Yes, congratulations on being a spoofed YouTuber in a mobile game. So
yeah, that was something to wake up to this morning.
Yeah. So, speaking of which, I think you've already talked about this in the past, but how did you come up with the moniker of Superbutterbuns?
Well, because everyone always asks me this because it's honestly kind of a stupid name. So, growing up and stuff, I've had the name for a long time. I always joked when I was a teenager that if I was ever going to become a stripper, I would name myself Butterbuns, because it's funny, because, you get it? Because, and I've always been, not tubby, but, I would never be a stripper, it's just, kind of how I am. So everyone's like, ha ha, he. And back in 2012, the only social media I really had was a Tumblr. I didn't have a Twitter or anything like that, not even a YouTube channel. And I wanted to change my URL because originally it was something really emo, like intertwined memories or faded memories or something stupid like that. And I was like, I want to lighten up a little bit, so I was just gonna change my URL to Butterbuns, and apparently that was taken. So I was just kind of fine, I'll just throw super in front of it, and it was the last minute decision. So I had the Tumblr Superbutterbuns for years, and I only had 150 some followers. It wasn't a lot. Mm-hmm. It was mainly just friends and some mutuals I made over the course of a few years. And eventually, when I was a senior in high school, one of my friends who was an artist and stuff, she asked me if I could, she wanted a drawing of me or something like that. And I said, just draw me as a piece of cornbread. Yeah, as a joke. I was just talking off the top of my head. And she's like, okay. So she drew this little character with my hair and a tie. And then, because I used to wear ties a lot in high school, and it had, that was essentially the original drawing of the bun. And I liked it so much, I just kept it. And it was like a crew drawing on a piece of paper. It was nothing crazy. Yeah. And eventually it was when I was in college, when I first started the channel back in 2015, beginning of the year, I was like, okay, I'm going to create a YouTube channel and stuff, and I need a name and a brand. And I was like, well, and on Tumblr, I actually took the image of, the bun that my friend drew, and that was my icon for a long time. So it's I'll just do exactly what I'm doing on Tumblr. So I took the bun and I digitized it, and gave it color, redrew it a little bit. And I'm not an artist; it's a super crude drawing and stuff. You can see that in the original videos. And then I was like, I'll just stick with the name Superbutterbuns. That'll be my YouTube, because every YouTuber needs a brand, and that's how I stuck with it. So it started off as a stupid joke, and now it haunts me. It's gonna haunt me for the rest of my life. Because I was just at the bank setting up a new bank account because my other bank's in a different, they don't have them here and stuff and whatever, but and they had to ask me, it's oh, are you employed? And I was like, oh, I'm self-employed. And they're like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, internet stuff. And they're like, oh, okay, do you have a business name? And I'm like, the LLC. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, okay, this is gonna sound really dumb. It's Superbutterbuns. I hate saying it out loud to adults because they don't know what it is. So it's just really weird. My grandma thought that it was a kind of a fake name for gay porn or something like that. I'm not joking. It was really weird. She didn't get it. Mm-hmm. And God bless my grandma. Yeah, she legitimately thought that it was some kind of hidden agenda for gay porn or something like that, because apparently gay men use butter as lube. I don't know. There's some underground meaning behind it, but I was like, no, grandma, I just like bread. That's just where it came from.
Yeah. I mean, kudos for the ingenuity, but if you're,
yeah, I know.
I mean, it's just okay. I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah. Poor grandma.
So as of this recording, you have a whopping substantial 342 plus thousand subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone that has been doing this for years, I hate you for that. I'm kidding. So what do you think draws people to you? That you have that many people that want to see what you do?
Let's see. Well, 1 second. Let me make sure my mic's working all right here. Okay, it's making sure. Sorry, got paranoid for a second. Well, I don't know, because like I'll admit it was a slow burn in the beginning, and like for me, or one thing of like I learned from doing YouTube wasn't really like a, I was kind of just going in blind, like I didn't know what I was doing. I watched a lot of YouTube channels that started somewhere and then got bigger over time, and like I kind of caught on to like the pattern of general success, like basic success, and I wasn't. It was weird because like I knew a few things for like just kind of a guaranteed minimal fan base. It was like good branding, which is this case a name and an icon to associate with it, and then a series. Because originally I was going to do Let's Plays, and I was like, I don't think Let's Plays are going to work too well if I want to grow, because, while some people are very talented and good at them, first of all, I'm not very good at them, but there's just so many. It's a matter of competition within YouTube, and it's like if you do Let's Plays, then a million other people are also doing Let's Plays, and standing out's like the hardest part. So I was like, I need to create a series, So I went with 4 beginners. That was the first thing I ever came up with. And originally, originally they were supposed to be like parody guides, like kind of a hee hee ha ha for people who've actually played them.
Yeah.
And then I actually threw in some like general information. And then I got feedback on them that were like, oh, these aren't very helpful, or like or the thing, like certain things aren't working out too well, and blah blah blah. And I started off slow. Like I got a few hundred views over the course of like a few months, a few weeks on my first few videos and stuff, which mind you is much better than some people, but that's because I promoted it like crazy. But I started to change over time, as in I took in the feedback. At the time I was going to school for editing and, video production, and I wanted to get better at what I was doing. So I took the feedback. I decided to make them more informational, more funny. And just I got better and better and better, and then bigger and bigger and bigger, and then my numbers started to show that every time I put out a 4 beginners, I wanted to improve on what I did before, and then people started to take notice. So I started off very small with a very passionate fan base, because I feel like people also saw the potential that what this could become. And then over time, it's like it was gradual. Like I didn't shoot up overnight. I think that's like one thing that most people, or at least don't have kind of have short-term successes if they shoot up overnight. But like if you look at my sub numbers, it's just this steady like arrow going like a ramp.
Yeah.
In the videos, like I went from making 5-minute little dinky videos to a 50-minute long, like crazy long blowout video and stuff. Hold on 1 second. Ignis, stop that. Iggy. Oh my god. Sorry, he likes the. There we go. Likes to like scratch up my things. No. Yeah, so I don't know what drew people in. I guess it's because like my voice or the comedy, or like I don't think my comedy's like very nuts in the sense that like it's never been done before, because like I reuse a lot of other people's jokes. I'll admit that. Like I use memes that were from like 10 years ago and stuff like that. But I don't know. I guess who knows? Honestly, who knows? It's a combination of a bunch of stuff, I guess. But I'll be the first to admit, it wasn't a matter of like, just, I don't want to tot around the idea of like, hard work will get you somewhere and stuff like that. It's a combination of consistency, hard work, and getting incredibly lucky, because if YouTube, I got very favored by the algorithm in some cases. Like some videos just blew up overnight for no reason. Or like they showed up in people's recommendations. So, but, I didn't start like big. I think that's the thing that people should learn, is that if they don't feel like they're going anywhere, they're like kind of stuck in the same place and stuff. Change it, try to make something new, and try to get better each time. And like eventually you'll be like me, and then you'll wear yourself out trying to make like a 50-minute video and take like 2 months on it. So
well, I can say personally, your Breath of the Wild video I thought was absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
And I know I could not have done that. I would have been probably halfway through it and just been like, fuck it, I'll do something else.
I was very tempted at some point. I'm like, I'm gonna redo this whole script. I can't do this. It's like,
because I just don't have the patience to do something like that. So Breath of the Wild being put aside, what was the one for beginners video that you worked the most on, or that was the most time consuming for you?
It was because, like, in the last 2016 or so, it's kind of like a weird period where it's like, I kind of like these, I kind of hate these. But 2017, I feel like I can go back and watch those videos and not hate. And that's because I put a lot of time and effort into them. But either it's got to be Persona 5 or Nier, because those Persona 5, it was the fact that was at the time my longest video of all time. And the fact that I got that video out, I think like 3 weeks after the game came out. And I'm not joking when I said like the entire the first month that game was out, I was just completely dedicated to it, because like I didn't get an early review copy or anything like that. I got it like everybody else, and the game is on average about 100 hours long, which means if I want to beat it within a decent time, I have to play it for about 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
So I did. So I played the game nonstop. And what's funny is that Nier Automata also came out roughly the same time, but I paced myself way better. Like, Nier Automata came out months after the game came out, but I wanted Persona 5 to come out really close to the game. And I think in the long run, that really helped the views on that.
Yeah.
Because it was pretty quickly after the release. But yeah, I had to play the game for 10 hours a day nonstop until I beat it. And I wasn't trying to rush through it either. I had to see the majority of the content so like I could write my video properly. And then right after that, I got like this 20-minute long review out talking about the game and how I critically felt about it. And then 3 weeks later, I got the For Beginners out. And I remember waking up, and I think I edited about 15 hours a day for like a solid 8 days or something like that. I would wake up around 5 or 4 or so in the morning, edit till I got, I was too tired and stuff. I went to bed, and I just woke up and did the same thing over and over again. And like it physically, like, I don't think people realize how, especially with like how with the length and how often or how edited my content is, how much time goes into it. So like on average, it's like 1 minute of editing equals about 1 to 2 hours of work.
Good Lord.
And if your video, it depends. I mean, like, like if you have a lot of cuts, like the along the way you'll meet take about 3 hours, and that's like what, a minute, less than that.
Yeah.
So you get segments that are like really high cut and stuff, or depending on the complexity of the joke. So in a 40-minute video, taking about 2 hours per minute, it's about 80 hours worth of editing, and it takes a while. And that's assuming I'm editing not like back to back every single day. Like, obviously I'm not gonna live at my desk. I'll try to like take breaks.
Honestly,
yeah, but it was actually a video that came together really quickly. It was just like the fact that I was trying to get it out so fast after the game came out.
Yeah.
And like, because I wasn't like stumped on jokes or what I should say and stuff. Like, I wrote it rather really quickly. It was just the editing of it that was technical. But the Nier video, that was difficult strictly because there were so many technical difficulties with it. Because like,
that's the one that you where your hard drive crashed, right?
Yeah. Well, it didn't crash. It was really stupid. I bought this brand new like 5 terabyte backup drive.
Oh god.
And I was like, I'm gonna store all like my backups in here, and I just happened to have all the Nier footage on that one because I was like, and some new footage because I had to re-record through the game because I had lost my original ones because it was on some other drive or something like that, or like the footage wasn't good. So I had like a majority of the footage placed in the video. Like, it was just my voiceover and then just the footage place, which is like the bare basics you need to like get the, you know, the video going. But it's still like, you know, 20, 30 hours worth of work. And then my drive, and this is big, it's this big chunky box. It was on top of my PC tower, and it got knocked over because I accidentally moved a cord over with my chair, and it fell about less than a foot. And if it was like any other drive would be fine, because it was this big box. It like fell, and it fell in carpet, and like, you know, make a big plump sound or whatever. Put it on my I was like, oh crap, you know, disconnected and stuff. Plugged it back in, and suddenly the drive cannot be read whatsoever. Like, nothing's showing up, and I'm like, oh, it's like everything's on here. So I had to take it to I took it to the local PC place. I'm like, can you guys do data recovery? Like, what's wrong with this thing? Why can't it be read? And they're like, oh, okay. And they listened to it, and it turns out the fall disconnected the motor drive in this thing, so the discs couldn't spin. Which means they said, like, okay, so, like, your data's technically fine, but because the motor can't rotate, it can't be read. And in order for data recovery to do it, they're going to have to find the exact motor to fit in. And it's going to cost, like, $800 for a terabyte. And I'm like, that's great, because there's 5 terabytes in that thing.
Good God.
So I was like, okay, we're good. So all the footage is gone. So I lost all the progress on the just the footage itself. So I had to go back and replay part of the game. You know, which takes time and stuff. And then I lost all the editing progress, had to restart. And then on top of that, like, my PC was acting like really slow, and I had like my hard drive was like borderline crashing. And then, and then like, what else? And then I came across like a bizarre editing error that I never came across before. I had no idea how to fix it. It was like my UI was locking up, and it was like stressful trying to get that video done. But eventually it did, and then, like, you know, I think I've talked about this before, but that's the only video for beginners I've ever had that had a copyright claim on it that I couldn't get rid of. So, like, I've made no money off of that video whatsoever.
That's just a double kick in the face. I mean,
it's a great video. I absolutely love it, but the technical difficulties just like made it terrible to work with. So it was just a lot of trial and error to get everything working.
So, and that brings me to my next question. Speaking of YouTube and what I would nicely call their fucked up algorithms, do you see this with the way that if they keep going the way that they are, do you see YouTube as a viable option for you to continue to make your content in the future?
Well, I'm in a very different place than other content creators because I kind of jumped on the whole family-friendly thing before the demonetization waves came through.
Yeah.
You know, I had already made my content basically, like, approachable for all advertisers in general. And I, like, even when my channel did get hit by the demonetization wave, when the bot was still trying to figure out, like, what everything was, I disputed everything, and only one video got, like, dinged, and it was, like, my Dante's Inferno one where people are getting, like, split in half. And I'm like, that's understandable. But at some point, YouTube has, I think, like, the bot at some point has essentially looked at my channel and all, and like the content and how every time I dispute it, it immediately gets like advertised again. I'm like in YouTube's good graces. So like I'm not hit by these things because somewhere out there and an algorithm has deemed me advertiser okay in general. So, but like even when it comes to just like ad revenue, because I know a bunch of people who spend like time working on their content and it goes up and then they get no money off of it. And even me, as someone who gets all the like majority of the like the money straight from my videos, YouTube, even with my views, because I get about 1 million views a month or so, it is not enough to live off of comfortably. So like unless you're getting about 3 or 4 or 5 million views a month, then like you're good, but that's still a lot. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So like I think YouTube as a platform is going to be okay. YouTube as like as a way to make money by itself is not. But like, because I mean, that's why things like Patreon and Twitch exist. Like, the majority of my income comes from Patreon and Twitch. It's like most of it. And the way I see YouTube is a means to promote other things. So it's like a big, it's like a big commercial for the other things that you do. Yeah. So like on that end, I feel like YouTube will be fine and stuff. But like, you know, And for me, if YouTube suddenly just stopped making money in general by it, I feel like I would be okay.
Yeah.
And like I'll continue to make content regardless if I'm getting paid from YouTube or not. Like I wanted to do it because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I know some other people aren't like that, but yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, like I'm just saying to like any other content creators out there and stuff, once you have a viable fan base, do not bank on YouTube for money. It is not where the money is. Your money is in like merchandise. It's in like things like Twitch. So actually, people pay you direct funding from fans.
Sponsors, Patreon.
It's just, yeah, Patreon. God forbid sponsorships, which I know some people hate, but like you gotta keep the lights on somehow.
Yeah, see, that's what really gets me is like when you have somebody like Game Grumps or Gerard the Completionist, they'll be like, "Hey, this video is brought to you by so and so." People are automatically inclined to say, like, you're a fucking sellout, and it's just like, dude, they're trying to keep a roof over their heads. I mean,
yeah,
and that's what I don't think a lot of people really understand. I mean, it's just like as long as they say that like this is sponsored by such and such or whatever, and it's not going to influence their viewpoint, then it really shouldn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I've been approached several times by companies for promotional deals and stuff. Like I was approached by THQ Nordic. They're asking me to do Darksider for beginners, like because they want me to get people excited for Darksiders 3. And like I'm not gonna do it because I don't really care that much about the Darksiders series personally. Fair and enough. Like and I'm not really. I've seen Darksiders 3, and I'm not very excited for that either. So it's like, and it's like I don't want to, And they didn't even mention money or anything like that. But like, I've had people. I once got offered $2,800 to do a for beginners on some crappy mobile game, and I like. First of all, no, I'm not going to take $2,800 is a lot of money, but my fandom knows I do not cover mobile games.
Yeah.
And like, and suddenly they see a for beginners on a mobile game, they're gonna be like, what the hell? So like, when it comes to promotions, and I think most people who are bigger content creators that take promotions know that, you should take promotions that, one, something that you actually feel passionate about, or like something that you believe in, something that your audience will be interested in, and then, something that is not shady, I guess, because like I'm sponsored by Gamefly and I've used them before, and like I don't get a crazy amount of money for them, but I don't feel bad promoting them at the end of my videos because it's like this is a service that I used at some point. People were on a budget; it's a good service to use. Go use my Gamefly code. But you got to keep the lights on. So like when I see promotions and videos, I don't feel bad. It's like that. If it's something, if they're getting paid to promote something that they believe in and stuff, that's fine. Now when people start promoting stuff it's like super, super shady and stuff like that, and it's like mega sellout-y, I'm like, okay, that's just like, but for me personally, I've denied a ton of promotional stuff because I don't feel like it's good for my audience.
I respect that. You gotta stand by your principles. I mean, speaking of your sponsorship to Gamefly, I wanted to ask you about this, and this is just something that I have been thinking about in the past few days to a week. With the rise of like the Xbox Game Pass and with the enhancements that are coming to PlayStation Now, do you see services like Gamefly and the like kind of taking a back seat to, I guess you would say, brand loyal programs?
Yeah, like the subscription types for games and stuff.
Yeah, because the reason I ask is because... I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, go for it.
The reason I ask is because PlayStation Now has just... I don't know if you've heard or not, but they just did... Or they've either done or they're going to do a major update to where you can download the PS4 and PS2 games to your PS4 and play them offline. And sadly, I wish they were doing that for the PC version because that's the only way that I can play PS4 games right now. Damn it. I used to have a PS4, but I got rid of it to get a Switch, and then I got rid of the Switch because I wasn't really happy with anything. I got like two games. I got two games for the Switch. I got Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart 8. I beat Breath of the Wild, and then Mario Kart 8, and I just wasn't really happy with at the time with anything that was coming out. And to be honest,
we should have gotten that Puyo Puyo Tetris. That'll last a lifetime.
And to be fit, and in my defense, a lot of the games at the time that were coming out for the Switch were 9 times out of 10 they were ports of already existing titles. Or so I was just like, okay, what's the point? I already have these titles. So, and now there's just like oh, we got Pokemon and shit coming to the Switch. I haven't played a Pokemon game since Yellow, but I was just like it's so close. I was almost there, but yeah, with things like the Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Now, do you see companies or services like GameFly kind of going away, or do you see it being like a kind of like a happy middle?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I can hear myself now. Hold up. Okay. It's funny you mentioned that because I've had a lot of people, like, when I promote GameFly, people are like, oh, GameFly still exists? Because it's just kind of, it's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it does. I was kind of shocked, too. They do still exist. Yeah, but things like PlayStation Now and, like, you know, even EA's doing, like, some kind of Game Pass or whatever the heck. It's funny because, like, a lot of companies are trying to push the future of gaming as a subscription service, and as a consumer, I'm a little nervous about that.
Yeah.
Because I don't like the idea of eternally renting my games. I like being able to own it, and that's why I'm a big advocate. Like, I advocate for hard copies like crazy.
Thank you. Finally, somebody else.
Well, seriously, it drives me crazy because everyone's like, well, why do you get hard copies? Why do you get hard copies? It's like, because I like having it because it's mine, you know? And, like, even if I can't play it, like, you know, 100 years in the future or whatever, because the patch makes it, like, there's no patches or whatever, you know, it's mine. And with GameFly and stuff, like, I don't know in the long term if they have a future or whatever with this massive push towards digital services and stuff, like, you know, essentially the Netflix for all games. But yeah, it's for now. I'm gonna promote them because I think it's neat. Yeah. But you know, and it's a lot. It's GameFly is more broad than, like, say, Sony exclusive stuff or like because eventually, like, what's gonna happen in the future is that you're gonna have like 5 different subscription services so you can play every single game.
That's really sad.
But yeah, I'm just a big advocate for hard copies, guys. Okay, because their sales are going down, and they shouldn't. Because everyone's like, oh, I can have like 200 Steam games, and it's like, you think Steam is going to be around in 100 years powering your PC? It's like, what happens when Sony, for God forbid Sony or Xbox or something goes bankrupt, or they go out of business, or if they shut down, bye-bye, you know?
Yeah, or
the long term.
Yeah, or, you know, you think of like what if Sony or Xbox or Nintendo decides, hey, we want to buy Steam, you know?
Yeah.
And you get, like, all of those things. Let's see, here's one thing I never understood. Now, I know you are, that you were, I can put this very nicely, you are a Sony fangirl, and that's okay.
I am.
That's okay. You're entitled to be wrong, but
oh my God.
I'm kidding. I hate all consoles equally. No, but I have my fair share of consoles, and you know, PlayStation included. What is your, like, just like, not even as a fangirl, but just as a gamer in general?
Mm-hmm.
What is your take on Sony's inability, or not inability, because they can, or just not wanting to play nice with Nintendo and Microsoft in terms of, like, crossplay?
I don't know what's their deal. I really don't. I know there's, like, some bullshit explanation that they've given people over the course of, like, you know, a few months and stuff, because it's I legitimately don't understand it, because there's crossplay between Rocket League and PC. Like, you can play PS4 and PC together with no problem.
Yeah.
With Rocket League, but suddenly Fortnite's the big no-no. I don't know it might be because of Nintendo, strictly because of that. Because I feel like Sony and Xbox are on better terms, but Nintendo and Sony have a much bigger rivalry than Xbox because of the East market. Because like Xbox is nowhere in Japan. They don't touch it. They don't get near it.
It's so sad too. I remember when the original Xbox first came out in Japan. They would not touch it solely because it was an American-made console, and it's just like
Xbox is it's nowhere. And well, that's the thing though. It's just because like in Japan, it is Sony or Nintendo, and PC is like super overpriced out there, like out in Japan and stuff.
I believe
like,
it. Yeah,
worth it. So basically, like those are the two big boys fighting out there in the East. So like. Sony can give all the stupid like excuses all they want and stuff. It's because of money. It's because of marketing. It's they got to think about their bottom line, and it's like and it's Fortnite. I mean, like the people are gonna get it. It's like makes $1 million and stuff, and they're trying to just guarantee their sales. And like I can't fault them for just thinking about their bottom line because that's like literally every single company. I mean, Nintendo does it in like a bunch of different ways. It's just not as like because it's not around such a popular game and stuff. A lot of their stuff is like, oh, it's whatever. It's just Nintendo. They're just protective.
Yeah.
So Sony. I just feel like for the sake of just good PR, and like for the sake of their audience and stuff, they should just bite the bullet and let it happen. But their stockholders won't let that happen, or whatever that
Yeah, and see, that's what never really I never understood because. There was a period of time where when Rocket League was like the hot shit at the time, and they were like there was this what Sony called a glitch where you could play where cross-play for PS4 and Xbox One was a thing. And they were just like, oh, it was a glitch in the system, and the people at Rocket League were like, no, they just told us to turn it off. So it's just like, dude, it's like if you're gonna deceive me, at least have a grain of truth in there. I mean,
yeah, I would rather Sony just come up on stage being like, we're not doing it because of money, and then. And then we're like, we want people to buy PS4s and not have like crossplay. Like, it's like if you have a group of friends, this is Sony's logic.
Yeah.
It's like I have a group of friends that play Fortnite, but they are all playing it on PS4. But I want to play with them. I only have a Switch, or like an Xbox or something like that. Well, I want to play with my friends and I can't crossplay. Guess I'll have to go get a PS4 now. That's literally their mindset with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't care how good a game is. I will not I will not invest $500 or whatever amount of dollars just to play one game.
Oh yeah, well yeah, but that's like smart consumer things, and like what sucks, and one thing I've definitely learned over time, is that like I like to think I'm a smart consumer. A lot of people who are really active on the internet who know the ins and outs of like consoles and all their their bull crap and gimmicks and stuff. Yeah. They're smart consumers, but like my roommate works at GameStop. He sees the average gamer man, John Gamer Man. And they are not smart with their money. They do not know what the heck they're purchasing half the time. Like, they, like, how many times they've had to explain to kids that, like, you don't have to come and buy V-Bucks at GameStop in person. You can just purchase them on the store. He once had a dude come into a store when, like, the Madden launched. Mm-hmm. Came in, and he wanted to buy a PlayStation 4 for Madden. And then I think they were trying to like tell him a bunch of other things and stuff. He's like, "Oh, I don't care. I'm just gonna come return it when I'm done with the game." As in, return the PlayStation 4. So here's the deal. This guy, and he explained it. Every time a new Madden game came out, he got the game and the console, beat it, and then came back and returned the console. Every time.
That has got to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
He did it like a few years in a row. It's like, you don't just hang on to the console. Like, you're losing money in taxes. Yeah. But, like, because, like, you're losing, like, $3 every time you do this. Just purchase, like, keep the console, moron. It's like,
and plus,
save yourself the trouble.
Yeah, and plus, they're not going to give you the exact amount of money. Like, you purchase, you purchase, like, a PS4 Pro for, like, $400 or $500. You bring it back, you'll be lucky to get 2 for it.
Yeah. And no, he brought it back like within the 7 days or something, so he would get like the return money.
Oh,
like so
okay.
it would be like the exact, but still like they don't give you the exact taxes and stuff, so you lose like purchase tax on a $300-$400 system. That's like $5 or $6. It's like dumb, like dude, like. But again, there are just people like that they will actively go out and just buy things that they don't understand. Like they had people that come into stores that trying to purchase some. Yeah, people would come into like stores, try to purchase like an Xbox or a PS4, and they didn't understand that the game needed to be connected online to play Fortnite.
Yeah.
Like they just don't. They're just average consumers do not understand like how to be reasonable with their game purchases or like how to get the most out of their money and stuff. So like and that's what Sony is banking on. They're banking on people to be that dumb to go purchase like a game box to play with their friends.
It's the Game Box Station 4 Pro.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, so yeah, because like the gaming community, I as much like I appreciate them, but we do live in a very, very like tight bubble where like we know everything about all the details and information. Then you go talk to your average Joe Schmo who has like FIFA and like Call of Duty on his console. They don't know what the heck they're purchasing and like how they're getting ripped off.
Yeah,
they're just like throw money at it. That'll fix it.
Yeah, I remember. I've never worked at a GameStop, but I frequent it quite a bit, and there was this this very nice older lady. She was probably like in like mid 50s, probably early 60s or something, trying to find a gift, trying to find a game for her grandson, and she came up to me. She's like, "Excuse me, young man, I'm looking for a present for. I'm looking for a gift from my grandson, and he wanted this. She handed me a copy of GTA 5.
Oh boy!
I was like, okay, how old is your grandson? She's like 13. It's just like, I'm not going to tell you not to get that for a 13-year-old. I will say, if you think he is mature enough to deal with the subject matter in that title, God be with you. Otherwise,
yeah,
and she asked me what was in it, and I was like, well, it's got a lot of violence, it's got a lot of blood, partial nudity, and just listing off. I was a walking ESRB.
Yeah.
It was just like it's got a lot of graphic language in it, and she was just like, ooh, I don't think he would benefit from having this. Just like, I don't think. And she asked something like, well, what should I get him? It's just like, well, what is he like? Does he like racing games? Does he like shooters? Whatever. And we actually ended
Can't go wrong with Minecraft. That's all.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah. Funnily enough, she was like, well, I couldn't find the other game that he wanted. And it's like, what was that? She's like, it's Craft of the Mine.
Yeah.
You mean Minecraft? Yes. And it was way up on a shelf, and it's like, thankfully the advantage of being 6'3" finally came in handy. I just kind of reached up and got it for her. And one of the salespeople came up to me and was just like, dude, I should fucking hire you. That was awesome.
It's always confused grandmas that come in, they can't remember games, they don't know what's anything's on. It's like they've told me several times, it's like grandmas come in and they ask for like, do you have this game? And they're like, yeah, we do. For what console? And then they're like, oh, it's like what's a console? Like, what's a system?
Like I was in GameStop just the other day, and this very nice lady, God, my voice is still cracking. This very nice lady came in, they were like, can I help you? Just like, I'm here to buy the VC. Like, you mean the virtual currency for NBA 2K whatever? Just like, yes. Just the look on her, she looked so confused. It was just like, oh my God, I just wanted to give her a hug. It was just like, oh, you poor thing.
God, yeah, I feel bad for old people and stuff when they have to go shopping.
Speaking of online services, what is your honest to goodness take on Nintendo's forte into the online pay for online stuff now?
Okay, so like I'm new to the whole, I'm new to Nintendo and stuff, but I know they've been terrible with online in the past, and like they either are like 5 years behind or like they don't, which is like honestly the fact that they've been away from online for so long in my eyes is kind of a good thing, because I feel like the more consoles try to compete with PC, the more irrelevant they will become, because like it's just stop. Like just it's so like I like the fact that Nintendo was kind of away from like a subscription service for so long, but it's like a give some take some kind of thing. I hate the fact that the online is now being implemented almost over a year and a half of the Switch's life cycle. Mm-hmm. If they would have announced this when the Switch came out, it would be a lot easier to stomach. But the fact that like you could play Splatoon for free now that there's a paywall is ridiculous. However, the paywall compared to like say PSN or something like that is considerably cheaper. So it's not all bad. I mean, like at least they're making it dirt cheap. I think it's like $35 for a year for a family plan. I mean, like it's not.
Yeah, and
it's not crazy.
Yeah, and for one person, it's like $20 a year. I mean, I'd sell a vital organ to have Xbox Live or PSN for $20 a year. Like, are you kidding me?
I know, it's crazy. So, like, on the price end, I don't think they're charging too much. I actually think that's a very appropriate price,
Yeah.
But and the whole the cloud service thing, I think people are a little overreacting about. It's like, oh, if you stop paying for the cloud, then they'll delete your saves and stuff, and blah blah blah. And people and then I'm just like, don't use it.
Yeah,
if you're that scared about your stuff getting deleted, don't use it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, you do know the Switch can hold a micro SD card.
And it's like it's not like they're taking away the ability to save like on your actual system and stuff like that. If you're so scared about not being able to afford the $20 a year to keep your saves on, then just don't use it. The only sketchy thing about the cloud thing is that apparently you can't take your cloud save data and move it to the hard thing, which I think is weird. Like you can obviously tell like where you want your saves to go, originally, but like if you start saving to the cloud, apparently like you can't move it from the thing, which I think is a simple fix. If they just change that, it's fine. And then what else? Yeah, that's kind of it. I just think it's kind of crappy that like they just implemented it a year and a half in the Switch's life cycle.
Yeah.
Which it's Nintendo. They want money. Yeah. It's like they're like we can do online kinda.
Yeah. What about the upcoming games that are cloud only, like RE7 or Assassin's Creed?
I'm not sure because like I feel like they're gonna. I actively don't know. I'm like I don't even know what cloud like how it's supposed to work. Like you have to be like connected online to play them or something like that.
Essentially, how it is. See, this is the fucked up part about this is that you don't even purchase the game. You rent it for 6 months.
Yeah, it's a subscription service.
Yeah, and I mean, and I've seen video of like obviously in Japan, but I've seen video of them trying to play RE7 on the Switch via streaming only or cloud service. It's shit.
Yeah, I imagine because it's like, I mean, that's the thing. I think they're like people are expecting the Switch to essentially compete with the hardware of like a PS4 and Xbox, and like I feel like again the more Nintendo tries to make it kind of like the competitor. Like game wise, I guess with like older generation or like games that already came out and stuff, it's not the Switch can't handle it, and it's very obvious the Switch can't handle it, because like it's designed for games that aren't super realistic, that aren't super graphics heavy. I mean, it's hilarious because like the Dark Souls remaster came out in like May, and then they had to delay it for Switch, and they said, oh, it's coming in the summer, and it turns out it's coming in like late, like it's coming in the fall because they had to delay it because it technically couldn't handle it. And Dark Souls 1 is a third generation, or it's a PS3 title, or not 3 like PS3. Like seventh generation. It's a 7th generation title. Yeah. And the fact that the Switch can barely handle that game at 30 FPS, it's like the Switch is not designed for these next gen games that are supposed to be cross platform and stuff.
Yeah,
You
and
know, it's
I think that that's one of the big things that people are missing about Nintendo. They're missing the point about it, is that
yeah,
Nintendo was never about trying to be toe to toe with the other with
yeah,
the
hardware
other
wise.
two. Yeah, I mean, the Wii was, as you can probably see in the back of my thing here,
Yeah.
the Wii is probably one of their best selling consoles, and just in terms of just like raw sales, or one of the bigger ones, and you compare it to the consoles that it was paired up with at the time, you know, it's just power wise, there's just no comparison to it.
Yeah.
And, I think the only one, honestly, in my opinion, that was even close to being toe to toe, I would have to say is the GameCube. And even that, in my opinion, is, I wouldn't say it's a stretch, but at least they were on a more even platform at the time.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, because like Nintendo, they've always been about it's not about the power, it's the games. And like now that they're trying to essentially port games that are designed for these powerful consoles onto a system that is clearly not designed for them.
Yeah.
It's just like, what are you guys doing? Just
Yeah.
like, I guess it's just one of those things. Well, it's a port. Like, we're just it's money either way. Like,
Yeah.
even if it's crap.
See,
Um,
and that's what really gets me about, because Nintendo is more about like quality over quantity, and PS4 and Xbox One are basically trying to figure out whose is bigger. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like we got a PS4 Pro. Well, we're adding another letter onto our Xbox. It's the most powerful. Blah 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 blah. And it's just like okay, yeah. I mean, yeah. PS4 Pro and Xbox One X are very powerful consoles, but if you don't have the software to show that, it doesn't matter.
yeah. Well, yeah. It's all about the games, and like I think
Yeah.
Xbox is slowly learning that. I mean, that was like I mean, the Xbox One had a terrible launch to begin with and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Or like when they announced it, because like TV, and it's like, so Sony realized out the gate that it was about the games, which is interesting. I when I was going to school in San Diego, one of my TA, he was a part of Sony's like group or like testing group and stuff. So he was like in with the Sony folks. And apparently when the PS3 launched, because the PS3 was also like kind of dead in the water, like the PS3 didn't catch up to Xbox 360 until the end of its life cycle. It was like a long run and stuff, but because it was so expensive, because the processor was completely different, the developers didn't know how to work with it until about 3 years in, and basically it just did not sell very well at the gate. When it launched, they immediately started working on the PlayStation 4. And like kind of they went around, they went talking to developers what they want out of their next console, like what do people want to see. And the reason why Sony was so prepared and the reason why they're doing so well is because they focus on the games above all else.
Yeah.
When it comes to their consoles and their exclusives and stuff. And like, yeah, a lot of the greater games are cross-platforms, but like if you're going to have a console at this time, because someone asked me if you choose between the Switch or the PS4, I would say the PS4 strictly because of its library.
Yeah.
And, because it's got great exclusives. Like some of like it's got like Bloodborne, Spider-Man, God of War, a bunch of other stuff that I'm like, oh, it's got the entire Kingdom Hearts collection on it. It's like it's got a crazy amount of exclusives.
Okay.
Speaking
of Kingdom Hearts,
I
you love some Kingdom Hearts.
do. I hate that I do.
No, my question. Like, I am very happy that finally Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out. However, I do have one point of contention. They have announced that it is coming to my big black brick, the Xbox One, and that's all well and good. But what about the other games? Why can't we? Why? Because the PS4 is already announced to have a Kingdom Hearts collection, which is great. I mean, but why can't the Xbox people get some of that love too? That is bullshit. I call it now.
It's I legitimately do not know, because there's a bunch of people. The biggest kind of defense that you'll hear from people is that, well, JRPGs aren't on the Xbox One, and that's just kind of the deal. And I say that bullshit as well, because the argument doesn't stand up. I legitimately think it's because Square just does not want to, because yeah, it is unfair that Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming to the Xbox One and then nothing else did. So when people say, oh, well, you know, there's JRPGs don't sell on the Xbox One, or they don't know how to develop for it, and, like, that's bullshit. They own Crystal Dynamics, which literally made an exclusive for the Xbox One. Yep. You know, they own Tomb Raider. Like, Square Enix owns Tomb Raider, guys. Okay, they own that entire division. They have 2 Western development companies that are very capable of porting PS2 games. Okay, it's like, it's a port, like. Putting the collections on the Xbox would not be difficult. It's a port of a port of a port. It's like, come on, just get like 12 guys in a room and just reprogram the thing, you know. And it's portception. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, people, well, because there's no Xbox Ones in Japan, and you know, it's like there's no JRPGs on the Xbox One. And it's like, well, it's kind of like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Are there no JRPGs on the Xbox One because there are no JRPGs on the, like, you know, because no JRPG wants to be on the Xbox One, or the Xbox doesn't want to be on, like, have JRPGs? It's like, you know, we don't know if they sell good because no one tries. And they probably look at, like, the Xbox 360 and the JRPGs that went on that system, the exclusives like Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon and stuff, and they're like, well, the sales weren't good. And it's like, but it's Kingdom Hearts, okay? It's like, it's like one of the most iconic JRPGs. It's got Disney, like, that's all the Western, you know, clout you need for the Xbox audience and stuff. Yeah. And Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out on it. So it's like, I legitimately do not know why Square Enix has not just taken the time to port it to the Xbox One.
I think so. I have a theory about it, but I don't know how feasible this is. I think, honestly, that they might just let it sit and stew on the PS4 for a little bit, and then once the hype has died down a wee bit, then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, it's coming to Xbox One, whatever, you know. I
feel like it's like the day before Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, it's gonna be like the Kingdom Hearts, like, well, the Kingdom Hearts all-in-one collection, because they've been toting around this all-in-one package, which, again, kudos to Square Enix for actually making the series as accessible as possible by, like, putting all the collections and stuff together. I love the fact that they did that, and I will praise them to high heaven for making this collection a thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but, like, if they don't, I legitimately, like, Square's upper management is a mess. Like, their actual upper management, because their creative teams are great. Like, they have people with very smart ideas, very competent people, but they move them around so much that they end up, like, you know, either stretching their studios for time, or they make very bizarre business choices. Because, like, I think after Final Fantasy 13 happened, they had a bunch of upper management moved around because the sales weren't good. Yeah. And now it's like, I don't know if they're, like, panicking. I don't know who's in charge over there at this point, but it's like they have some of the weirdest like, decisions, and the fact that we know they have the money and they have the resources and the time to port a game of a port.
Yeah.
It's like you can do it.
Also, I want to personally thank you for convincing me, like, when you were talking about it in a stream one time, you were talking to everybody about when Final Fantasy 15, the Royal Edition, was coming out, and I was on the cusp of getting the standard edition for a long time, because I hadn't played a Final Fantasy game since like 10-2. And you were very adamant about wait for the Royal Edition to come out, because if you get the standard edition, they're gonna bone you for $20 more to get the big fucky edition and whatever. And it was just like, okay, I am very happy that I did that. So I wanted to thank you for that, because that's one 15 is one of my new favorite games of all time.
That makes me really happy to hear, because, like, the Royal Edition, I'll admit, you know, I will never admit that, again, Square Enix's upper management is weird. that people who got 15 at when it came out kind of got screwed over.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, you had to purchase these upgrades and stuff. But to their credit, some of the better aspects that are in Royal Edition are free updates, like the playing as multiple hero or character, playing as the entire party, and the Type D card. Those are all free updates, and I think people forget that.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that the Royal Edition added is more in the ending of the game, which and I've explained like what kind of went wrong with 15, and like when people come at me and say like, oh, 15's unfinished, 15 blah 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 blah, it's like, you know, it's fixed. The Royal Edition exists, it's fixed. And the only issue I have with 15 is that they decided to stick really, like, you know, interesting story information in very random places. Other than that, though, it's a very fun game, and like I don't know, like I think 15 gets a lot more shit than than it really deserves, because when the game came out, I said that it was good, and I still stand by that. Now the Royal Edition's out and stuff, I say like now it's really good.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like, yeah, when people come at me with their hot Final Fantasy 15 takes and they're like, oh, the game's unfinished, I'm like, yeah, but it's still fun, so like what's the point?
Yeah.
So, like,
that's how I am with that's how I am with Final Fantasy 8. I get a lot of shit for liking Final Fantasy 8. It's like my favorite Final Fantasy game. And I mean, I actually, it's the first game that I actually cried during while I was playing it, and it was just like the one scene, the one part where oh yeah, spoilers on a fucking 20-year-old game, by the way, where Squall and Renoa are on the Ragnarok ship, and Renoa is saying that she has to be sacrificed for the good of the world. I bawled like a baby. It was just like, no, because Renoa, she was my girl, and it's just like, no, you cannot kill her. I refuse to let that happen. No. And it's just like,
well,
no.
It's interesting you say that, though, because like, when as someone who got into the Final Fantasy quote unquote community pretty late and stuff, one thing I've noticed is that it is probably the most disjointed, argumentative, all over the place interest-wise fan I've ever seen. There is no general like agreement in the community whatsoever, because everything is super polar. I mean, there are people like, I think Final Fantasy VII is great. I really do. I think it's a little overrated, despite it being like one of my like personal favorites and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I've joked about it being overrated, and then people get mad about that, and people are like, yeah, you're right, it is. And then, God forbid, you bring up Final Fantasy 13 amongst anybody in the Final Fantasy community, because then it's just this like just wave of like arguing and destruction, and like in 15, and it's just like, oh god, the Final Fantasy community is a mess.
I appreciate what 13 tried to do. I just think that it fumbled in the execution.
Oh yeah, I agree. Like, and I won't. People always say like, oh, Final Fantasy 13 is bad, and I'm like, I will never say the game is bad. I will say the game is polarizing, you know, and it's divisive, because there are parts of it that I think are great, the parts of it I don't think are great. Or not good and stuff. It's got really weird choices, and like the trilogy itself is like, I like 13, I love 13-2, and I really don't like 13-3 or Lightning Returns.
Yeah.
And it's not because I think like it's objectively bad. There's just parts of it I don't like and I hate doing.
Honestly,
and then there's some people who are like the other way around. They love 13-3, they hate, like, you know, so it just depends.
Yeah, honestly, when they were announcing Lightning Returns, I was just like, huh, people still like this? People still like this game? But then when they announced the pre-orders where Lightning could essentially cross-dress as Cloud, I'm just like, okay, I'm done. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like, fucking over.
It's 13-3 again. It's such, the whole 13 trilogy is such like, is so fascinating, and I love the fact that like
it's really a hot mess.
It's a beautiful, like, again, 13-2 is a hot mess of is just one of the messiest games I've ever experienced. But it's super fun, and I love the soundtrack, and I love the characters, and I hate the plot.
Yeah.
So.
Now, one question for my own personal curiosity: you have 300,000+ subscribers. Have you received your 100K plaque yet?
I did. I actually got it like months after. I just never showed it. Because like
cool.
I basically by the time I got it, it was like I can't put this in a video somewhere unless it's like a celebration video.
Yeah.
So it was like I got it too late after 100,000, but like it would be like too late to bring it back up in 200,000 and stuff. So I do have it. And it just kind of showed up one day because like once you reach 100,000, like you get this little pop up on your notifications like, hey, congratulations, you get your reward, send us your information. And you send them your information like, what do you want on the plaque? And then 3 months later it shows up. And like, but I have it on my little thingy maboop, and it's cute and stuff. Apparently they changed them how they look now because I have like one of the older looking ones.
Because I've seen channels that got to 100 million, got to 1,000,000 subs, and they are just now getting their 100K plaque, and it's just like, wow, way to jump on the ball there, YouTube.
Yes, I think what they do it in like sets.
Yeah,
it seems like so they do it like I think they ship out maybe like twice every or once every 6 months or something. I don't know, and I guess I just got close to that. Okay. So who knows? But like, yeah, I mean, I know some people who never got theirs. But
now recently I saw on the Twitter feed that you have recently acquired a 360 and a Wii. Does this mean that we can expect for beginner videos from those consoles now?
Well, it's okay. So the Wii was like a little. I didn't think that far ahead because I totally forgot that the Wii was compatible. Ship didn't mention anything when I bought it, and I was like, wait. So I'm gonna go return the Wii to get a Wii U. And people are like, oh, what about the GameCube? I actually do have a GameCube that wasn't mine. It was given to me from my grandma like 2 years ago. It's just been in storage, so I don't technically count as owning it because I've never turned it on.
That is the sole reason why I got a Wii, is so I could play my GameCube games.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna I have a GameCube, so I don't really need the Wii if I can now have the Wii U in the Wii. So I'm getting a Wii U basically. But the Xbox 360, I got them strictly because not for beginners, but do you remembers? Because there are 2 games on there, and also just kind of to have them for my gamer cloud or whatever, in case you never know. What if I really get interested into Halo or something like that? But
sorry.
Yeah. But on Xbox they have The Lost Odyssey, which I've heard nothing but good things about.
Oh, excellent game.
And then I found out, and also just to have more Nintendo stuff, if I'm getting a Wii U, that means I can cover things like Tokyo Mirage Session, which I plan to make my duo for beginners on. But I got the Wii U specifically, because I had it in mind, was Pandora's Tower. I didn't know what that was up until 2 weeks ago. And because I saw someone on Twitter talking about it, and I researched it, I'm like, this looks perfect for a Do You Remember, because I don't know what the hell this is. And and I researched it, it did not sell well. And it's actually a really interesting looking game. It's kind of got a near aesthetic. Mm-hmm. And it's the problems with it is that it's got some really janky controls and stuff, which is kind of expected. But overall, they said, it's like a 7 out of 10 on average and stuff. And I'm like, that's perfect for my criteria. So I just got them to have them. And also because I have a few videos in mind that I might want to do later down the line. But a Wii U specifically, because I've always thought about getting it, but I don't know if it was actually worth it. But now I'm like, yeah, whatever. But Tokyo Mirage Session, Xenoblade Chronicles X, I think it's the big cool one with the mechs and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know much about that one. And then, whatever the heck I can find on the Wii U that actually made it on there. Just to have it. And then Wii games as well, No More Heroes and, a bunch of other stuff on there. So, yeah, I want to expand a little bit. I don't think I'll be able to cover everything I ever want to, considering there's so many games out there that I want to talk about. But it's a place. It's a place to start. I don't know when those videos will come out, if they ever will. But I have the hardware when I feel like it. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, you in the past have had your and by past I mean yesterday, have been getting your fair share of criticism because solely based on oh, your comedy sucks, or it's just and some of them are being so very intelligent as to say what does a girl know about such and such and everything.
Mm-hmm.
As someone that gets his fair share of criticism when he fucks up in his Let's Plays, how do you combat that negativity?
Well, it's funny because a lot of people say I don't. I actually like, I reply too much or I give people too much attention. And the catch of that is, I agree that like lately, I've been replying to things more often than before. But like, it's weird because before when I started my content, I got pretty negative comments. I just decided to never reply to them.
Yeah.
And I didn't for a long time. And then up until around like 200,000 or so, I got more of them each day. And eventually my threshold for like, you know what, I'm really sick of this. It's like, yeah. I like, people say like you build a tolerance up to it. I was the other way around because like, I would go from getting like one negative comment a day to about, now I get about 30 a day or something like that, and after and for me, the things I decide to reply to, for me, that may be the 30th negative thing I've seen that day. But to other people, it's like, oh, she's just replying to every negative thing I get, which is not true. And like, I understand how it looks from a different perspective. So like and a lot of people have taken notice and stuff. I don't think I've ever gotten a negative like breakdown or quote unquote criticism as to why my content is bad. Everything that like all the negative stuff that is either flung my way is one, people being very dumb, like they're either spreading misinformation, and then people either have a very subjective bias that they express in a negative way, like, oh, your comedy is cringeworthy, or you scream, like, a bunch of other stuff, or you're a woman, which is like, I don't experience a ton of sexism, but I get it every now and then. And a lot of times it's like, oh, women can't be funny, or, oh God, a woman speaking, or like, again, like, what do women know about games and stuff? It's just dumb stuff like that.
Yeah.
I got a weird one, like, I'll just read this. I didn't post this anywhere, because again, I didn't know how to reply to it.
Okay.
I got this weird one on my 15 video that was like, let's see here. It was... Where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. It says, it's women like you that create female-hating serial killers. Again, very, very smart, scholar-like folks throwing out the hard facts. Like when they come to criticize. Yeah, I don't know. There's no context for that. I don't know what I did. So, like, for me,
God,
the hate, the quote-unquote hate is, like, I'm a person that I can definitely tell the difference between criticism and hate. I actively can tell. Like, I'm not one of those people that will just deflect nonstop. And when I've had people come to me and complain, like, hey, this stuff's too loud, or the timing's weird, or this stuff is incorrect, or, your buns are too big, they're blocking things, or, like, that kind of... I take all that in and I try to improve on it. And people can see in my content that I am very capable of improving. But 90% of the negative comments I get are not like legitimate criticisms or they're correct. They're just people being dumb.
Yeah.
and my threshold for it is getting worse and worse. And it's like, and I think eventually over time I'm just going to get like super jaded towards it. But like currently I'm still trying to get better at it. Cause like I know that if I give attention to negative, that it actually creates more negative. But I also try really hard to focus on the positive. But not everyone sees it that way. I'll retweet like 5 or so positive things about me, and then I'll probably do one negative thing, and everyone's always like, you always focus on the negative stuff. And I'm like, well, so do you guys. It's like, I'm praising everybody else in that. Like, if you go like scroll down my entire Twitter, it's nothing but retweets of positive messages and fan art and stuff like that. But the second you call somebody out for being stupid, they think that's all you talk about.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. I'll admit, but like, hearing your voice is annoying and females can't be funny after like 80 times, at that point, I just don't care.
Yeah. Which I never really understood the whole, women can't be funny. It doesn't matter what you have between your legs. If you're funny, then you're funny. I just never.
Well, it's just generalizing and stuff because, like, me, personally, I've met very unfunny women, but I've also met very unfunny men. But I don't say men aren't funny, and I don't say women aren't funny. I just say, you can just say, I'm not funny. Yeah. Like, don't lump every other female. Like, I don't speak on behalf of all womanhood around here. It's like other people. It's just come after me. Don't attack like every female alive.
Yeah. Now you have at least from a very early point made your content like approachable, like very kid friendly, bleeping your swears and stuff like that. Was that a conscious thing that you set out to do, or was it like a natural evolution?
I was kind of forced into that because what if you go back to the first few four for like 4 beginners on my channel, like the Kingdom Hearts ones and like the Persona 3 and 4, there's a lot of bleeps in there. That's strictly because they weren't originally bleeped. When I uploaded those, originally I cursed like crazy in my videos because I naturally curse a lot in real life and stuff. I have a very broad sense of humor, and so I just kind of talk naturally, and like I got like 1,000 views on each of those videos and stuff, and I was very proud of them. And then I made a Twitter, and apparently what Twitter does is that they'll look at your email and then they'll check your email contacts and then they'll like recommend people to you.
Yeah.
And apparently, because like my mother was also on Twitter at the time, she found my Twitter, and because she didn't know I had a YouTube channel, so she found my Twitter and by extension my YouTube channel, saw what I was saying, and my mother is a very very restrained woman, and she texted me, was like, "We found your channel. You can't say things like this." And I was like, "Oh God!" She's like, "You gotta take the videos down." I was like, I wasn't living with my parents at this point. I was like in San Diego going to school, and I was like devastated. I was like, because they had 1,000 views each. I was really proud of them. It's like I can't take them down. So I compromised with her. I was like, okay, I'll take the videos down, but can I re-upload them and I'll censor the ones that I have, and then after that I won't curse. And she's like, okay.
I never understand, because I mean, it's like, you're a grown woman. I mean, it shouldn't. But I
was 19 at the time, though. Yeah, and they were still paying like majority of my stuff, and I didn't want to.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. They were paying. They were like, they were paying like my phone bill and my car insurance and stuff because I was still going to school.
It's like nice bills you got there. Be ashamed if something happened.
Yeah, to you. I started. I was like, okay, now I can't curse. Now I got to be funny in different ways and stuff, or I got to allude to it. So that's why the first few 4 beginners have a lot of bleeps in them, and the rest of them don't. Like, if they do, they're very few and far between.
Yeah.
After I started to, like, I hated the fact that I had to restrain myself that way, because then I couldn't go for, like, very easy jokes half the time. I had to get, like, really creative about it.
Yeah.
And then over time, because of that, it helped me in 2 ways. One, I didn't get demonetized when, like I was saying, when the big demonetization waves came, because I was already a family-friendly channel. And 2, it helped me stand out. Because so many other gaming channels immediately just go to that. And that's like, for me personally, I like content like that. I don't mind, but for some people, they may have a kid in the room or, something like that. And in a world where everybody's, where like millennials can say, fuck, no problem. And it's not really like, there's no negative connotations behind it and stuff. It made my channel immediately stand out from other gaming channels. And so now I kind of take it as a sense of pride, because like now that my parents, like I'm financially independent from my parents, and I technically could do it, but I don't anymore, because like I think about, I want my content to be approachable to, people and, adults and children, because I feel like that's important, because I've written some really dark jokes in my videos before. Like I've joked about suicide and like, like killing people and stuff, but it has this layer of goofiness on top of it to where kids can't tell. They're like, haha, it's like whatever, it's cutesy and stuff. So, I put some pretty morbid things on my content, but now I've just gotten better at hiding it. But it's approachable, and I think that's important.
And plus, you have your Twitch stream where you can just curse like a sailor all you want.
Yeah, see, that's completely different. Yeah, my Twitch is completely different from my YouTube. That's how I felt. It's like, listen, if you want family-friendly content, go to my YouTube. My Twitch is actually who I am.
Yeah. I think my second to last question.
Mm-hmm.
The hair.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Now, I know you did a whole video that shows, like, how you do it and everything, but I just have one question. How did you decide to get your hair into that fashion? Like, what made you want to do that?
It didn't start off that way, because, like, I originally had really long hair up until, like it was, like, 12 inches long. Like, it could cover my boobs and stuff like that. It was long. And people always said I had beautiful hair growing up. And then I always wanted to kind of cut it, but my mom wouldn't allow me. And then junior year of high school, my friends wanted to, or some of my friends were trying to do a a thing called St. Baldrick's, where they raise a bunch of money to go bald to sponsor a kid who has cancer.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to join in on that, because if I can't get, like, I wanted to do it, one, because like I want to do it for a good cause, and then two, I was like, you know what, if I can't have short hair, I'm just gonna go the other way around. You know, go bald and I'll grow it out short. So I ended up going bald junior year of high school. And people thought, like, I had teachers ask me if I was like sick or something like that, or like if anything happened to me. One of my math teacher, I didn't tell anybody that I was going to do it too. My math teacher came up to me the day I came in with no hair, and she's like, whispered in my ear, and she's like, is there any particular reason why you have no hair? I was like, yeah, I went bald and stuff. It ended up being in like the local paper and stuff. It was really cute. Yeah, but I went bald. My hair grows back really fast too, and I just kept it short after that. And originally, like, you know, it went like a boy cut and stuff, and I went for like a little baby mohawk, because like I have a pretty round face, so I wanted to make my head look longer. And then as I grew it out, I kind of had like more of like a skater boy kind of look and stuff, and I really liked Noctis from Final Fantasy 15. Like, I loved how spiked it was, you know, in the back and stuff. And so I was like, I kind of want to like look something like that, because I wanted it to be tall, but I wanted the sides to come down to kind of like hide my face a little bit, because I don't like how round it is. And I was like, I'm going to spike it up in the back, because I like how Noctis's look. And then eventually just kind of devolved into that, because like I didn't just decide I'm going to have this haircut. Like, it grew into it, and then I just kept it that way. Okay. And when I worked in California as like a as a bagger at Vaughn's and stuff, I got compliments about my hair all the time by all the old ladies that came in and stuff. They loved how I looked. Yeah, now it's like, you know, it's like an iconic thing. And you know, the bun drawing was done when my hair was like basically pretty short, like my senior year of high school. Yeah. So yeah, it's gone through a bunch of evolutions. I had a mullet for a long time because I didn't know how to cut the back, because I cut my own hair. Yeah, and I didn't know how to cut the back because I couldn't see it. So eventually I got really good at that. But like before, I was like, it's growing really long. I don't know what to do. It's so yeah, it's gone through evolutions.
Okay. All right, final question. Now, for those that are wanting to maybe like see what you're doing, and it's like, oh, I want to try that. Maybe not exactly in the same way, but like do content in some way. What would you tell people are the pros and cons of basically being self-employed and being your own boss and working on your own content?
Well, first of all, you should always go into it as a hobby. You should never go into it expecting it to be your job, because I didn't go into it expecting for it to be like my living. I just I just enjoyed it, and I just kept wanting to get better, and I got very fortunate. But the pros and cons of it, I get, the pros obviously is you're your own boss. You are essentially getting paid to talk your opinion, to indulge in your passion to an extreme. And you get there's so many perks to it. The amazing people you meet, the opportunities it opens up. Some people get to play games early, and it's just like, it's the perks are what you expect the perks to be, and it's wonderful. And then the pro or the cons, I guess, are one, you're your own boss, and like if you are bad at motivating yourself, you are going to get into some really bad roughs. Or riffs, like when it comes to motivating yourself to get up and go do something. If you mess up, it is entirely on you. There is no backpedaling. There is no pointing fingers saying it was this and this and this. And on top of that, it's kind of scary making the thing that was once your stress reliever and like your getaway, your relaxing time to turn into your job. And you don't want to. The worst thing that could happen to it is you start hating games, or you start hating what you're doing, because like I know some people, and this is one thing I do recommend to people who do want to get into content creation: do not stick to one game, because you will end up despising that game by the time you're done with it. Because I know it's really exciting to if you get traction on one game. Or one franchise and stuff, and that's and people start watching your content just for that one thing. Eventually, over time, that if you get in too deep with one franchise, and you eventually get sick of it, but your audience does, and you want to move on, you're going to catch hell. So it's important to establish yourself early on as either a variety channel or something else. I know some people have successfully gotten out of that rut, but it's hard to get out of if you're not careful. But yeah, the pros are, you know, it's the perks of being YouTuber is that there's no turning it off. Once you are like, in like a content creator, you cannot really detach yourself from your work. Your entire life is now your work. You have to like I technically speaking, because of the amount of times I sit at my desk and like what I'm doing for the channel, I work, 17-hour days. Like, because I'm always doing everything I do is for YouTube, except the rare times that I'm like away from my like channel and stuff like that, like my hiatus. So it's just stuff like that, There's pros and cons, but the pros do outweigh the cons, but the cons can get really bad if you're not careful.
Okay, one last question. How do you deal with potential burnout?
I don't. No, I don't know, because like this is the most amount of burnout I've ever gotten. I'm a workaholic. Like, I actively love doing this. Don't get me wrong. Like, if I feel like I'm not doing stuff, I get stressed out. But for burnout, it's legitimately get out, get away from your desk, get a hobby. Because I know some other people who are dealing with burnout, and they're actively like doing things to get better at it and stuff. Some people are taking up things they've never done before. Like for me, I want to deal with my burnout because or like the way I'm planning on dealing with it is when I took a big break. The way I want to maintain it though is I'm going to go back to school. And weirdly enough, if I put more work on myself that isn't YouTube, I'm the kind of person where what is in motion stays in motion. So if I have a reason to go out and do something, socialize with people, and do something that is not related to my channel, then I tend to be more motivated when I come back to it. So so I'm gonna go back to community college. I'm gonna take like 2 classes on stuff, and just to get out each week, to help my burnout. Because when I lived in California, and I was working my job and doing YouTube, I was super productive. I felt on top of it because like I could go to my job for 8 hours a day and just completely turn my brain off. So it's just a way, just learn to detach yourself from your work, even if it's fun.
All right, and with that, we will. That's it. So I had something I was gonna say, and then it just flew away. I don't know what I was gonna say, and that will do it for this time. For this segment of random interviews. Buns, thank you so much for taking the time out of your extremely busy schedule.
Thank you for having me, and thank you so much for being patient, because Lord knows I'm all over the place.
It's like I said. It's like I said when we talked. I just assumed you were very busy, so I didn't take it to heart or anything. I didn't take it to like, just fuck it. She just like she doesn't want to talk to me or something. I didn't get like that about it or anything. So I mean,
I appreciate it too. I felt terrible. I was like, God damn.
No, I understand. Shit happens. So everybody, if you have somebody you want me to interview, let me know in the comments down below, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.